Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Bold Badass Business Show, where we bring you badasses from all over the globe. And today, tuning in from a co working space is the incredible Kimberly Day, the influential entrepreneur, the creator of the Business Launch Formula, and a very astute, wise, and experienced entrepreneur who has been in this space for years and years, like yours truly, right? We don't look the years that we bring to this, but hey, we've been in this space for years, and we're going to be talking about how to use a low ticket offer to snag high ticket, starting with a high ticket offer. But we like to give you perspectives from all over because what's right for one person may not be right for the other. What's right for one business won't be right for the other. And it's important to have as much information as we can and to understand why, the rationale behind this. But first, Kim, let me ask you, what was the moment that you realized you were going to be an entrepreneur? What was the moment in your life? And it may be way back that you said, whoa, I can't work for somebody else. This is not going to work for me.
Right? That is a great question. And I think I've kind of always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit going on. My dad was a big influence for me. I remember growing up, he always wanted, we live in Canada, so he always talked about having like a chip truck. And by chip truck in Canada, I mean like one of those mobile French fry trucks by the side of the road. Of course, food trucks are like a big, huge thing now, but back then he just dreamed of having a chip truck at the side of the road and making French fries. And so like from a young age, I was kind of given that little hint of a spirit of entrepreneurship. But it really kind of didn't take full effect until I was probably in my 30s, 40s, trying to navigate my way through what I know now was like a miserable, soul sucking career. And I finally just was like, there's got to be a better way to not have to just give my entire life to the 5 days of the week and only have 2 days of the week for myself, right? Making money for someone else in a job where I was not appreciated, where I was expected to do things faster and more efficiently and work more hours a day and take less time off. And it just, one of those things where it finally just clicked and I took the big leap.
I love that story. I love the story of your dad's chip truck. He was ahead of his time because, food trucks are all the rage now. And they're smart because there's so much less involved in starting a food truck than starting a restaurant. So I love that you received that from your dad. I also watched my mom do a number of different entrepreneurial things, from art classes to storytelling. I mean, she was quite the entrepreneur. And I know that this impacts our kids. So those of you listening, what you're doing or not doing, maybe you're working in a soul sucking career like you were talking about, Kim. Our kids are watching this. Our kids, and not just our kids, but other youth are watching this. So think about, hey, are you happy where you are? And if not, hey, now's the time, right? Start a business. Why not? Or start a side hustle. So Kim, you have done, well, tell us a little bit more about what you do, because I know you have several things in your arsenal that you provide your clients. So tell us a bit about that before we move into our topic, so people get to know you a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess my start, and I just shared part of the story, which was for over 13 years, I was a financial advisor. So just a very tough industry, very male driven, misogynistic. Not that there's anything wrong with, more. I'm not all about like I only work with women and all that kind of stuff, but it was just it was not a very kind industry to women and to younger women. And I just, I always knew that I wanted to do something that had value and I wanted to help people. And how I got started in the finance industry was exactly that. I'd come out of university with a lot of student loan debt. And when I was first approached by someone in that financial sector, it was to sell something called ESPs, Registered Education Savings Plans. So in Canada, as a parent, if you save $1 into a savings account for your kid's education, the government tops it up by 20 cents. So that's a 20% return on your investment before you've even put it into something that earns an interest rate. So to me, I was like, wow, that's a fabulous product. I can get behind it, and I can help people and parents save for their kids' education so they don't have to go into debt getting their education like I did. Little did I know, back in those days, it's like the best advice I had for marketing was go out to your warm market. Well, I was still young at the time and didn't have any kids. So I didn't know any parents I could talk to about saving and using this program. So I had to resort to lesser strategic marketing efforts like networking. But you go to networking events, and although I love networking and still participate in networking, not everybody in the room is a parent. So it's not very targeted or market specific marketing strategy, for lack of a better word. And so I found myself struggling to find clients. And so I thought there was something wrong with me until I kind of realized, well, I'd never gone to marketing school. I went to school to study how to do the finance piece, but they never taught you how to do the thing called lead generation, going out and doing all the marketing. They just gave you a sales presentation that you'd present on a clipboard, right, to a parent if you ran into them. But they didn't give you strategies for how to go out and find clients. So I had to go and learn all of that on my own. And one of the things I was really avid and have always been is about being that continuous learner, right? I know you're like that too, Dr. Bernstein, right? Like I'm always trying to learn and stay cutting edge. I feel like education is a lifelong thing, not just when you're in school. And so I went out and taught myself the marketing skills that I needed to learn to be able to attract clients. And some of the ones that accelerated my results were the ones that positioned me as an expert, positioned me as an authority. And so the one that blew the doors off was when I actually wrote my very first book. So I was given the advice to write a book to present yourself as a credible expert. And as an avid lifelong learner, the people I was following in my industry were also authors. So the strategy made sense. And when I wrote my first book, within 12 months, my business took off. I was getting featured on local radio, local television. In fact, I was at this exact co-working space a few years or maybe less than a year after I had written my book. And it was the first time where I realized the power of this strategy, because someone came up to me and said, "Oh my God, I've seen you on TV. I've been meaning to reach out and see if there was a chance that you would work with me." So I was getting visibility, credibility, and authority, not just from being a published author, but from the media, the publicity, and the visibility that was getting me inside of my community. And it was in that moment that I decided I need to teach this strategy to other people who are struggling as entrepreneurs, and not because they're not experts at what they do, but because they're not experts in marketing, because they didn't go to marketing school.
Yeah. And what you say is so absolutely true. I hope everyone listening, you realize, people say, "Oh, I'm in the business of helping people write books," or "I'm in the business of helping people, soar into six figures and more with their business." No, you're not. You're in the business of marketing that business. You're really in the business of marketing that business. And if you don't market, we all know, we all get those times that we don't market because maybe something happened in the family, or maybe, we took a vacation and we had this little spell where we don't market. And then we pay the price a few months later because things get super quiet. Right. And we say, well, what's happening? Am I in the wrong business? No, I forgot to market continuously. ABM, always be marketing. Always. Yeah. So true.
Well, and I call that what you were. Yeah. And I call that what you just described as kind of the income roller coaster, right? You're doing really good with your marketing and you're having an amazing month. And then all of a sudden you're in fulfillment, right? You're helping all your clients. You've stopped marketing. And all of a sudden, you're on that downward slope. Roller coasters, super fun at an amusement park, not fun in business.
Not fun in business. No, it's one of the reasons I think that having a program that's ongoing, a continuity program, or some kind of mastermind or something that you do ongoing is so important, because then you know what your cash flow is, but you're not always pounding the pavement. You're really focusing more on you're getting to focus more on the fulfillment part while you do the other. But we can't let anything drop, because then we see it a few months later and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, what was I doing a few months ago? Oh yeah, that's when I took off for a month. um yeah, so true. And there's no one else to blame, is there, Kim? That's the thing. There's no one else to blame other than ourselves. Yeah,
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
I love that saying. I learned that in transformational leadership as well. If it's up to be, if it's going to be, if it is to be, it's up to me. That's the way I learned it. Love that. So, well, you found that your book, your first book, was a great way to attract this media attention. And we all know media attention is way more powerful than any advertising, because it's somebody else endorsing you, who is a
Yes.
trusted channel of news. And plus you're getting to do it free. You're getting this coverage free. So you found that was the case. But as we look at this topic of how to use a low ticket offer to snag high ticket clients, what would you say to people is a good way to start? What kind of low ticket offer? Do they have to write a book? What do they have to do? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question too, Dr. Barnsley. And, for me, I happened to jump straight into the book, right? So I was able to use the book at the top of my funnel, and the book is my low ticket offer, right? So, and I'm sure if you're in the online marketing space, if you're watching this on Dr. Barnsley's Facebook, or if you're watching it from a share on one of my channels, or if you're watching it on LinkedIn, wherever you happen to be tuning in, if you're in the online space, you've probably seen them before. There's a million of them out there now. And if you haven't seen them before, Big Brother's listening, and you are going to see them. Your reticular activation system is going to show them all to you now. But it's that, that strategy of a free book, just pay the shipping, right? It's a book plus shipping funnel.
Okay, now this is powerful, because did you all hear what she said? It's a book plus shipping. So you're sending them a hardcover book, which is cool, or a paperback, but you're sending it through the mail, which is better than a download. But having them pay the shipping, that person's at least going to invest something, and at least they have a credit card or a debit card, right, to put down for
And
potential
yes,
further things.
absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple of things that does. First of all, they've raised their hand to self-identifying themselves as someone who has the problem that you help solve.
Yes.
So unlike when I shared the story about going networking, where everybody in the room, I don't know who is my ideal client in the room. But if I hold up a book that says, hey, buy this book if you want to fix this problem, and 10 people raise their hand, well, now I know who the heck I'm talking about. I don't have to talk to the other 90 people in the room. I can laser focus my intention and my message on the 10 people who just raised their hand, identifying themselves as having the problem that I solve. So that's what your book does for you. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a book. The book is the way I teach in my program to do that. And, they're not as hard to create as you think. It took me 3 months to create and write my first book. The big traditional media houses will tell you it takes 6 months to a year. I say it doesn't need to take that long. With the self-publishing world the way it is now, with Amazon out there, with people like myself or other writing coaches, marketing coaches, you can get a book done. I can now write a book in a day. I know how to put it together. I know how to put it together quickly. And now there are tools to help you, right? There's tools like ChatGPT and all the other ones that are from every other thing. And I'm not saying I write the whole book through ChatGPT. It's my intellectual property. It's my expertise. It's my formula. I just help give it a really solid framework, and then it helps me pump out content a lot faster than I could do on my own, right? I have it reorganize a lot of my existing content to put it together. So it's not tough to get a book together, but if that feels intimidating for you, you can do it with a lead magnet, right? You can do it with, for example, Dr. Barnsley, I know you do a lot of lives. You could upload recordings of videos you've done or presentations you've given into a transcription service and collate those into a guide or a resource or a toolkit or a mini course, right? But something that helps solve a problem so that when people raise their hand, you know they're the right person. It's not just about having 1,000 people on your email list, right? It's about having 1,000 of the right people, right? Or 100 of the right people is more powerful than 1,000 wrong people.
And you don't even have to have that if you have a super targeted list who, as you say, need what you have to solve their problem. And I actually had another writer on over a year ago who talked about this. She started her business with 100 people, and 2 of them were her parents on her list, but it was a very focused list, it was very focused. And so I hope everybody's hearing that.
Absolutely.
You want to have a targeted list to the people whose problem you can solve. Or if you have a much huger list than that, you want to have them raise their hand by offering them something free, and they simply pay the shipping. Now, what do you do with this? Kim, this crossed my mind when you were talking. What do you do with this when you're networking in person? So what do you do? Because you got the books right there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great thing. Like back in the day when I used to do a lot of live networking, I would bring copies of my book. I would gift them. I wouldn't even get people to pay for them, right? It's really about autographing a book, getting them to opt into my email list at that point in time. But now with the online space, this is so much easier to do online at this point, because now I can put it into the top of a funnel online, and now the internet is doing the heavy lifting for me, right? It's bringing people to the top of my funnel, which is my book, which is my lead magnet, right? And people are paying that tiny little amount of money, so it not only identifies people who have the problem, but like you said, it identifies people who have a credit card and who are willing to pay to get the solution to their problem, which helps weed out the freebie seekers and the tire kickers. So there are so many things that this low ticket piece does for your business. And there's the good old ascension model that we've learned back in the day. I believe it was Russell Brunson that kind of like coined that one, right? Where you get them with a small product, a $7 product, and then you move them up the ladder to the 27, and then the 97, and then the 497, and finally you get them as a high ticket client. I don't quite do that. So that's not what I'm talking about with the low ticket. What I'm talking about in my world with the low ticket is that, what do you call it? It's a filter, right? It filters out the people who are not good for your list and your community. And once they go through that filter, they're immediately into my client journey or my client acquisition system, which sends them to an event. In my world, I call it a conversion event, but it's the middle of the funnel. So the top of the funnel is that low ticket, gets them to raise their hand, self-identify as having the problem. The next step in the funnel, or the middle of the funnel, is to get them into a space where they're interacting with me. And so for me, my conversion event is a 3-day challenge, like a Facebook challenge, right? But other examples of a conversion event are a webinar, right? A masterclass, any kind of live event, a workshop, a weekly training series. A sales call, right? A discovery call is also a conversion event. So what's your conversion event in the middle of your client journey? You just need to pick one. Start with one. The easiest one, if you're just starting out, of course, is a discovery session or a sales call. But as you advance, get on and do a webinar, get on and do a masterclass. But what this happens is now those people that raise their hand are starting to talk to you, and you're able to get into communication with them and have that two-way conversation, because through conversation you build connection, and it's connection that equals currency. People aren't going to buy from you until they feel like you're the person that can help them. They need that. I mean, it's cliche, right? The know, like, and trust, but know, like, and trust is built when you start talking to people and build that connection.
And I always add an R to that, the KLT. I add an R for respect, people we respect. And the way people begin to respect us is by understanding what we stand for, having some sort of connection and relationship. So I love what you're saying, Kimberly, because, lots of times people are very, the gurus out there are very clear that you have to go and do this 30-day challenge. You have to do this. And no, you don't. You can choose your, not your weapon, but choose your method that you want to develop the relationship with people. Because I know I was just talking about this to somebody else, Kimberly, and I was saying, a 3-day event, that just makes me want to pull my hair out. I do 2-day transformational Reiki trainings, but to do a 3-day event online, I would be like, no way. I wouldn't enjoy that amount of time. But I really enjoy discovery calls, what people call discovery calls, enrollment conversations. I really enjoy those. And I enjoy going deep, very deep with people. And it feels kind of like a sacred thing. And so for me, that discovery call, I want that to happen as soon as possible, as soon as possible after they enter my world, maybe with speaking or by reading something or watching one of these episodes. So I want you all who are watching and listening in to think about, what will you put? What are you best at? What's easiest for you? Think about that too, because usually what's easiest is also what you're really good at. You're not.
Well, and what's easiest is what you won't procrastinate on doing it, right? If you think a 3-day event is hard, you're never going to do it. So don't pick the one that somebody said that they think you should do if you know yourself that there's going to be lots of resistance.
Yes.
Do whatever feels good and that works for your business.
Yes. Right? And that's another version of
for me, when I say
fruit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, we crossed over with a little bit of the lag time here. What were you going to say right before that, Kimberly?
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, you don't have to listen to every guru about what that looks like. I mean, some people will say it needs to be a 5-day challenge. Some will be a 3-day challenge. Oh, it needs to be a 2-day immersive event. It needs to be a 3-day event. It doesn't matter what the guru says, what feels good for you. For me, getting on multiple hour-long sales calls with people just didn't feel good to me. I prefer to get online, deliver a bunch of value, and then invite people to a next step, but with 10 people in the room, right? That was my sweet spot, my zone of confidence and what I like to do. But you can do it more than one way. But all you need to know is that you need to have a way to filter out your list. And for me, that's a low ticket item. And for me, that's a book, but it can be a lead magnet. I gave a bunch of examples. You need to have a middle of your funnel, which is some sort of an engaging conversation, whether that be one-on-one or one-to-many. And then you need to have that offer, your high ticket offer, that you're going to have to get them those transformational results, right? Because nobody's getting transformational results from your book. Let's be honest, right? I've got books on my shelf. I've got books half read on my shelf. I'll be like, oh, I'll read the book through and then I'll go back and do all the exercises, and then I don't, right? So your book is not what's going to transform lives. Your book delivers information. You as a coach, or your program or your service delivers transformation. So don't be afraid to put your best stuff into your book, because it's that showcase of what you're all about, of your expertise. And then if you've got those 3 components, right, a low ticket, an event, and a high ticket offer, then it's really kind of a hybrid approach, if you will, right? So I definitely have a high ticket offer that I deliver to my clients. And I know you do too.
I do.
And then there's the continuity programs and the mastermind. So don't be afraid to switch it up, but you need to understand the journey of where you're leading your client, because if you don't even understand where you're bringing your client, they're never going to understand what path to follow, right? So clarity as the coach on what you're doing is really important. And mine's super clear. The book to the event to a conversation about working with me. It's simple. It's in its essence 3 simple steps with lots of moving parts, but 3 steps.
And the one thing about the book is that once it's done, it's going to continue to be out there, but you still have to market it, right? To get the folks to pay the
Yes.
shipping. You still have to do that, but it's going to be out there from then on. I mean, it's basically evergreen, that book, unless you can update it, but it's going to be evergreen. And so again, that concept of leverage, you have to think about, well, what do I most enjoy? Maybe I most enjoy doing live presentations with a group. Let me do that. Or maybe I most enjoy seeing everything in really a concrete form like a book and just periodically updating. I don't want to do it over and over and over again. Let me just do this. They each have their strengths, but we need to choose according to like you said, number one, what we're going to do, what we're actually going to follow through and do, and number two, what we enjoy and are good at, and not worry about the others. It's hard though, because I know as business owners, we want to do everything, right? This is like do everything itis that we have as business owners. And it's very important to choose your weapon of leverage. What's your way that you're going to leverage? And I want to ask you this, Kim, because I think this is interesting. And I just want to dispel some myths, because there are people who say, oh, yeah, you can sell a high ticket offer through a funnel. Yeah, maybe. And you're going to have some kind of conversation with somebody. That's at least my finding. I have not had anybody just find me online and suddenly say, hey, let me give you $15,000, right? It is from spending time and, supporting that person and coaching them that they can see the value. So what would you say to that, Kimberly?
Yeah,
Would
I
you agree?
absolutely agree. I have not. Yeah, I agree with that 100%, Dr. Barnsley. I've never seen anybody, go straight to a link unless it's potentially Tony Robbins, and we all know,
Right.
Because we've been inundated with him, and we can maybe put some, credibility to a $15,000 program from somebody like that. But we're not Tony Robbins or Dr. Phil or Oprah. So, as an online expert, your chances of signing up a $15,000 client without having some sort of conversation with them, whether that be on a Zoom, whether that be a one-on-one experience, whether that be in some sort of an online ongoing training, most of it takes a little bit of time. People are gun shy. People want to know that you can deliver on what you say you're going to deliver. And there's so many options out there, right, Dr. Brensley? Just literally today, there are so many options that people are looking to work with people that they know that they can have some one-on-one time with, who are going to be able to deliver on the promises and help them get that transformation,
Yes. And think about this, you all, the more access that they get to you, the higher the ticket, right? So for something like a book where you can write it and you're really putting all of your knowledge, you're distilling it into this form, that's great, because it's going to so many people. But the more they get access to you to say, implement what's in the book, the higher the ticket offer. And people do, as you say, many people have been duped, and they want to know that they're going to actually get the stuff done. It's one thing to read the book. It's another thing to actually implement. We all know this. Who falls short in implementing? My hand is up. But it's also because I'm a lifelong learner. So I'm always learning, and so there comes a point where it's just like, you need to stop learning and let's choose something and let's implement, right? And that's why I think all of us need coaches. We all need coaches, because the coach is going to say, hey, you've been learning about this for 6 months now. Let's just get something going. Let's do it. Let's do a presentation. Let's get what into a 20-minute presentation, and let's go for it.
Yeah, the accountability and the implementation piece that you get from working with a coach is really where the transformation comes from, right?
Yeah, sure is.
Like I said, I've never gotten big transformations just from reading a book. Yes, I've gotten a lot of insight, but it's really from putting those things into practice. And for most of us, we need a little bit of accountability and a little bit of hand-holding. It's why even the best coaches all have coaches. I have coaches in multiple areas of my life, because otherwise, left to my own devices, sometimes I procrastinate a little bit, right? Because I'm not always wanting to do all the things that I have to do, because quite frankly, we're sometimes juggling a lot of balls. At least I know I am. So having
Yes.
that partnership with a coach is what keeps me grounded. It's what keeps somebody being real to me. So I can't, you know, I can sometimes BS even my own self, but it's tough to BS your coach when they're going, "Hey, really? Are you sure you're doing the work that you say you're doing? Because your results aren't reflecting that right now, right?" So, yeah,
Yeah, we have a way we do it in my mastermind that we indicate that somebody has some revenue generating activities that quite aren't up to snuff for the day. We have a way that we do it, and we do
yeah,
it lovingly. But you see that, and then you say, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I really didn't put very good
mhm,
action steps for today, did I?" But we do need that action and
right,
implementation. We absolutely do, or it just all stays up in our heads, and eventually, what's going to happen? You know, eventually
yep,
that's going to be lost.
absolutely,
Eventually, we're going to all lose our minds, but we're all going to eventually take this with us, take the knowledge with us to the grave. So it's got to get. I love
yeah.
that a book can get that out. And a book is a healing process too, Kim. I really think writing a book can be a very healing process for whatever we're going on, having going on in our lives or in our businesses. Have you had that experience by chance?
Sometimes the clarity comes from just putting it down on paper, right? Or getting it out of your head and into a structured format. I don't know about you, but whenever I take pen to paper and start to map out my ideas, that is when clarity seems to come. So
Mhm.
a lot of the people that I'll work with will tell me, I don't even really know what I want to do. I've got or not or that it's one of two things. They either don't know what they're going to write their book about, or they got 10 ideas. Right?
Mm.
How many of you have 10 different ideas? You've got 10 things you want to sell. You've got all of these different programs and offerings. And when you are even confused about all of the things that you offer, how do you think your clients are going to feel? That confusion comes through, right?
Mm.
Where mine is very, very simple. I have one high ticket offer. That's it. It starts with a book, and that's it. I help people get that clarity, help them put that funnel together, because it's not really hard to do, but sometimes it's hard to do for yourself, right? Even for me. Have you ever noticed that what you do the most brilliantly, sometimes you have a hard time doing for yourself?
Yes, for sure.
Anybody else
The
feel that way?
cobbler's
Right?
kids have no shoes. The handyman's house is falling in. It's yeah. I live beside one, by the way, and his house is kind of there's some holes in the wall, and I'm thinking, you do work with handyman work and you do work with cabinets. What's going on here? But that's so
I
true. We
know, right?
need it. But it's good because otherwise we would not have a need for connection. We'd all just be doing our little work by ourselves, and we wouldn't need to reach out. We wouldn't
Yeah.
need to ask for help. We wouldn't need to connect with other people. These things that are not easy. Asking for help can be really hard, and just realizing I was looking at down here at my computer, I have denial when you were speaking a minute ago, Kimberly. Denial. Don't even notice I am lying. Like that,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
even notice I am lying. But we need our coaches and we need our colleagues to be like, you're saying you're all excited about this offer, but I'm surely not getting that energy. So what's going on? What's
Right?
going on here? I love that you said you have one high ticket offer. I really have one high ticket offer. I have one medium, and then I have something that's a lower entry point. And sometimes the people in the lower entry go to the high ticket, or the high ticket people come to the lower entry, which is great. But what I've realized is I see all these people launching and launching. Oh, when's your launch? And I'm launching this, I'm launching that. And I'm thinking, what about the rest of what you do? What happened to the XYZ program that you had last year? What happened to this? Where are the people who are in that program now?
Yeah.
I find myself
Yeah.
asking this question and wondering because I see these people iterating things, but I'm wondering, well, where the heck is the other stuff that they did? And how do you
Yeah.
get a lot of proficiency unless you stick with it, with the thing. It's like some people are serial entrepreneurs. Some people in the space are serial frickin' launchers. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Let's launch. You know, what are we going to launch?
Right.
Oh, let's throw it together. I can't work that way.
Well, and the key to having the high level and then like the lower mid level and the do it yourself level is perfecting that first level. Because how can you turn anything evergreen if you never take enough people through it to know that you're able to get your people transformation, right? So for me, like for example, my first foray into all of this was the book coaching program. That's all I did. I helped people write and publish books. I still do, but now it's part of a bigger program. But that's all I did. I started with my very first client, which, by the way, I got my first client without even having my program built. So for those of y'all listening who think you need to have every T crossed, every I dotted in your entire program and all the handouts and all the videos and all the modules and everything else done before you offer your program to somebody, I'm telling you right now, I see Dr. Barnsley shaking her head in agreement by going, no, don't wait, right? But the idea is you need to just get out there and start making more offers and just start. Yeah. My first book coaching client, I was still a financial advisor. I was at a networking meeting. The only person in the entire room that didn't know me as Kim, the financial advisor, said, hey, what, like in our, little milling about before sitting down for breakfast. And he said, what do you do? I said, this is your chance, Kim. This guy doesn't know what you do until you, except for what you're going to open your mouth and tell him you do. And so I did say I'm a financial advisor, but I also help other service-based professionals write and publish a book they can use to market their business, because I had my book in my hand. I'd already done it myself, right? I had the proof that I'd done it for someone, me. And the guy looked at me. He's like, oh my gosh, my business coach has been telling me for months I should write a book. I'm like, how serendipitous. I said, we should have a talk about it, but the meeting's about to start. So we literally grabbed out our phones. We set an appointment for 2 days later. So this was a Tuesday morning breakfast meeting. On Thursday afternoon, we had a meeting. On Wednesday, I sat down with a piece of paper and wrote out what are the benefits of writing the book, like literally just the benefit statements. What's my process I'm going to take them through, right? My 5 steps. Still been my same 5 steps. And it was relatively easy to figure out what the 5 steps were because I'd already written a book. So I just mapped out what are the things that I did to write the book, right? Turned them into my 5-step system. And I had here's how it would be delivered. Back then, there probably was, but I certainly wasn't doing it because I was a financial advisor. I didn't have to. My company ran my website. Like I didn't have to do anything. So I didn't have like a online learning platform, like the things people will do to stop themselves. So you know what I said? I said, I'm going to give you your lessons via email. And I said, there's going to be some homework at the end of every email. And when you give me your homework back, I'll deliver. And he was like, that's amazing. Okay, sign me up. And he handed me his credit card, like in the space.
Beautiful.
And I remember back in the day, I don't know if anybody remembers. Remember those square?
Yes. I think you just froze for a second. Let's see. I'm not sure. I think we may have frozen. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure. Well, the clock is still ticking here, but I think Kim may be frozen. Let me see if I can remove her from the stage and then add her back to the stage. Let's see. All righty. Where are we? There she is. Let's add her back. Yay! I removed you so I could add you back because you got frozen.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It was just, you had this really, really great expression too. It was, it was very, I always get frozen when I have like these strangest expressions on my face, But anyway,
Oh my
I
God.
just removed you and then added you back. It worked great.
Right.
So
Awesome.
what was the last thing we heard? The guy gave you his credit card, and we were talking
Yeah.
about the little squares that you
Yeah.
used to be able to run on our phones, right?
Yeah.
And some of you know what we're talking about. If you don't, that's okay. Now we've got Venmo, we've got Zelle, we've got so many things we can do. Cash App. And he was thrilled. Well, what I hear from that story, Kimberly, is that you just didn't let anything stop you. And see, this is the thing when people say, I have to have my title, I have to have all my videos done, I have to do blah, blah, blah. That's a big freaking excuse for not taking action. Truthfully, you just have to be one step ahead from your client, one step ahead of your client. So you could do a 6-week program and you're doing it week by week. I'm actually a big advocate, Kimberly, of my people doing short presentations, 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and then they can take those and put them together and form something longer.
Absolutely.
That can become a webinar or whatever. But it again is just get started, just get going. And you didn't you saw the opening when he said, oh my gosh, that's what I need. My business coaches told me I need to do a book. You saw the opening and you, with confidence, responded. Let's see, that's where, again, I think people have hesitation a lot of times to say, oh, am I ready? Am I good enough? Well, yes, you had already done your book. You had already walked through those steps yourself. But I think a lot of people wouldn't have had that gumption. How did you get that gumption in that moment? What was going on in your head? Do you remember? Or what were you thinking? Were you just like, well, this is cool, let's just follow it? When he
Well,
said,
it's
wow.
funny that it's funny that you asked that question, because at the time I was really struggling with breaking out into that as a new career, because I had been a financial advisor for 13 years. I was entrenched in that as my identity. I really was. And quite frankly, in my own head, I was thinking to myself, am I crazy for doing this? And so I was also thinking, people are going to think I am batshit lunatic crazy, because I'm going to go from a financial advisor for 13 years to a book coach. I was like, people are going to think I'm off my rocker. They will not take me seriously. And it wasn't until I reframed it in my own mind that I was able to step out with that confidence. So what I kind of did was like, well, wait a second. Yes, I'm going to be a book coach, but what I'm really doing, because what happened with me after I wrote my first book for my finance business was my income had doubled in less than 12 months. I was getting all the media and publicity. So I was like, wait a second. Instead of helping people with their personal finance, the money they make after they bring home their paycheck, I'm just going to help them in advance make more money in their business by having better marketing strategies. And as soon as I wrapped and reframed that, I was like, okay, now I'm good. Because now I'm confident that what I'm doing is powerful enough. It's going to help you make more money. I used to help people save more money. Now I'm going to help you make more money to be able to save and pad your retirement income. Right. And then it was off to the races. Then the confidence was there. So you first have to start with believing that you can do that yourself. You don't have to have all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, but you have to have belief that you can help somebody and a heart that wants to. So I knew I could help people write books. I was jacked about it because it had worked for me. And I'm like, I can't keep this a secret any longer. This is way too powerful. We're left hanging as entrepreneurs. We're left struggling in the muck of marketing. And it doesn't need to be that way. It's a learnable skill. And, 97% of small businesses, especially in the coaching world, fail within the first 2 to 5 years. That number, in my opinion, Dr. Bernsley, needs to be flipped on its head. Yes. And with better tools and better strategies and making life more simple and having tools and automation to help you move forward so you don't have to be working 80 hours a week, because you can leverage the power and harness the power of technology to be able to make your life easier. If we can teach people that, then now we have 97% success rate in entrepreneurship. And who wouldn't want that? That's my big
Exactly.
vision.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I love how you reframed in your mind that what you're doing is just you're still creating abundance for people. You're just doing it in a different way. And I think
Yes.
that's so powerful to realize that whatever, for everybody listening, whatever your career trajectory has been, that there are things that you've done before that you're absolutely using right now. I would not be who I
Yeah.
am as a teacher, as a trainer, as a speaker, very interactive speaker, if I'd not done all the college teaching I did. Because my thing as a college teacher was not to lecture. I would do tiny little lectures and then give them something experiential to do. And that to me was a way for people to get the information, apply it, and remember it. And I would not be who I am now without all of those years of that. So I think it's very powerful to sit and really think about, the things you've done in the past that, and not even just your work stuff that you've done as a volunteer, stuff that you just did because it was fun. It was fun. Kimberly, you know what? I used to be the Halloween fortune teller at our carnival every year at my church. Like I was a Halloween fortune teller.
So
Well,
fun.
well, isn't that perfect? And what do I love to do now? I love still to read tarot for people. I do readings that are about their businesses just for fun, you know. And now I'm thinking
So
I'm going to
fun.
bring this into my program because it is a really
Yeah.
potent way to see in symbols, in a visual representation, what we can sense is happening. But when it's right there in front of us, it's like, oh, yeah, it really is happening. I
Yeah.
am really going through a death in my business. I'm releasing a part of my business and I'm giving it a new birth into a new form. So, you just
Yeah.
don't know where the inspiration is going to come from. And what I also like about what you're saying is that we know that people go through 3 or 4 careers these days. And to think about that in terms of your business, it used to bother me that parts of my business I would be letting go for a while and focusing on something else. But now I'm just okay with that because there's an evolution there, right? And we're always growing,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah.
We're always growing. And so there's going to be something
I
new
love it.
seeking to emerge.
Yes.
Well, what's next for
Yeah,
you,
for
Kimberly,
sure. I
before
mean,
we
like
give them? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, well, so now, no, 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 it was good. There was that lag a little bit. I think it maybe it's my internet. I'm not sure, but
Doesn't matter.
yeah, no, it's wonderful. I love that. I love that you talked about the evolution of your business because things can change. And I'm not talking about, the where you talked about the perpetual launching of something new, right? You need to give
Mhm.
your work, your body of work, some time to get some traction. I knew that the book program was great. It still was. I remember moving from the one-on-one coaching from like my first email student to I ran it as a group program. I also have a retreat version of my book,
Mm.
so which I still do. Right, I every winter when it gets cold up here in Canada, we head to Mexico and we do a book writing retreat. So if you
Woohoo!
want to get it done fast, fun, and on the beach, the retreat
Nice.
version is the one for you.
Mm.
Um, but what happened was is people were coming to me afterwards and going, now what? I've got the book, now what? So this is where that client journey piece came in, right?
Mhm.
I knew that I had more to offer. And I knew that as I was turning people away with their book, they were going and hiring other coaches to do that rest of
Yeah.
that body of work with. So now I do have a more comprehensive program for people who do want the full package of how do I put that book in the top of my funnel as the low ticket offer? How do I create the conversion event that's right for me and my business? And then how do I package up that irresistible offer of my body of current body of work, bringing in, sometimes people don't even realize all of the cool stuff they could add to their body of work just to make it more irresistible and more high offer. You just talked about doing, some of those readings. And if people know they're getting all of these resources inside of a bundle, people are willing to pay for
Mhm.
that experiential type of work. And that's where your high ticket program then can shine. And then if for somebody who's not quite ready to take that super immersive step, having a step down like you talked about, right? Say when they say, hey, no, I'm not going to hire you to do the $15,000 one-on-one coaching, but Do you have something else that I could step into to begin with? So I am of the opinion I use my low ticket as my filter to get people onto the list. And then I offer them what I know will help them get the best transformation,
which is the
my high ticket.
comprehensive. All right,
Yes.
everybody.
And then if they are not ready for that, then I do have a down step, right?
But start with what is the comprehensive. After you filtered them with the book, start with what is the comprehensive.
Yes.
And this is what so many people new in business are afraid to do. It's like, oh my God, well, people won't want to spend $9.97. They might spend just $27. But you can't decide that for your prospects. Your solution, if it's really going to be a solution, has got to have a holistic aspect to it. It's got to really be comprehensive at some level, or it's not going to work for them. I will say that when I take them down to that next rung, Kimberly, you know what I do? I say, okay, well, we're going to try this for 3 weeks, and then we're going to see what's happening. All right? We got to agree to that. We're going to see what's happening, because the accountability piece is all on you in this program versus the other. And usually people find that very hard. So in 3 weeks, we're going to meet back. And a lot of times the folks will shift back to what they really need to be in, which is the comprehensive program. Yeah, they'll realize, oh my gosh.
Amazing. Another very smart way to do it.
Yeah. I really don't want to, and I tell them I don't want to come in that middle one. I don't want you here. This isn't what you need. But we can start here if that's more comfortable, and let's revisit in 3 weeks. Well, Kim, you've given us so much to think about. This is such a rich interview, and the whole idea of fielding and weeding out people using your book and using that as a form of leverage, and then having a middle of the funnel, something that you really truly enjoy and will do because you enjoy it and you're good at it, and not because some guru said you have to do it this way. Blah, 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 blah. Let me say it again. That was fun. I don't think I've ever said that on here. Blah. But that's how I feel about that. Blah. We want to have something that we really, really care about, that we enjoy doing, because otherwise it doesn't get done and we stay stuck. And I just love the inspiration you've given in terms of being open for that first client and being willing to stand and say, yes, I help people create abundance through their books. And to just create it by email until you had it in another format. Just create it however you can. Do a video, people. Just get started. Freaking get started. Because otherwise you're going to wait, and you're going to be in your 60s. You're going to be reaching out, or your 70s, like some people I've talked to recently, and they haven't done it, though they've been thinking about it for 20 years. You don't want to be there, right? You want to start earlier, so you can have some success with this. Well, Kim, this is my favorite time of the Bold Badass Business Show, because we give something away. And everyone, we have the freebie vault, the Bold Badass Business Show freebie vault, which is fabulous. And you just go, I'm going to give you the address, and we will put into the freebie vault something that you'd like to include, Kim. So everybody, here's the address you need to access the vault. It is bit.ly/free from Dr. B, which is DRB. So bit.ly/free from Dr. B. You just stick in your email, and then you get access to all these gifts from our VIP sponsors at the top. Make sure you grab all of those. And then as you scroll down, you'll find all the other gifts that have been given by people who have given their time and come onto the show. So Kim, do you know what you would like to include in the vault? Do you want to just give them a quick, or do you want to make it a surprise? It's okay either way.
Yeah, no. I'd love to tell them what it's all about, because I think that they need to get into the vault anyways to go get all the other goodies. But what I'm going to, get in the vault, people. Get in the vault. There are so many amazing.
Oh my gosh, I think she's frozen again. We keep having this little issue. Let me remove her.
Oh my gosh, no.
There you are.
I'm still here.
You're good.
I'm still here.
You're still here.
So what I'm going to give you guys, for anybody who's hopping into the vault, is with the code BADASS, you can actually get to the top of my book funnel, and you can take the book for free. So The website to go to is the little
Oh, wait.
book of
We're
big
going to
hooks.
send them in the vault. Hold on. We're going to put that in the
Send
vault.
them to the vault.
Yeah, they don't need
We'll
it.
put that in the
Yeah,
vault.
we'll put that into
Either
the vault.
way, you'll get to, yes, and you'll get to the top of that funnel, of my funnel.
Yeah.
You'll get the secret code to get the book for free. There are some, and then you'll put your business hat on. I want you to go through the funnel and watch what I'm doing. So there's some upgrades there. You don't have to take any of them. You can go through my whole funnel for free. But you'll see an upgrade to get a workbook. So you'll see, you'll get access to my event, my 3-day event. And you'll see that there's an option to upgrade to VIP. So again, put your business hat on, watch how I'm making money at the top, at the middle, and at the bottom of my funnel. And mirror that. Success leaves clues. Watch what other people are doing. In this case, watch what my funnel is doing and leading you towards, and then model it for yourself in your own business. And that's my gift to you.
Fantastic. That is incredible. And be sure to go in with your analytical mind, not just looking at, oh, what a great offering, but look at that sequence and look at how Kim is using that funnel to guide you through. And there are different ways you can go through the funnel that are based on what you need. I love that. And will increase the profit and the level to which you help your customers, your folks. So we're going to have that in the vault at at bit.ly/free from Dr. B. And we'll also include the code in there for you, the code BADASS. So you can use that, and we will get it up there for you in just the next few days. Woohoo! And you all, maybe today you're not feeling like a badass, okay? Sometimes we have those days where we're like, I don't feel like a badass right today, but I know you are, because you've come and spent this time. Obviously, you're someone who learns, you're always sharpening the saw, you're always seeking to get better. And that is the best antidote we can ever have to just stagnation and feeling stuck. Moving forward, learning something new, applying something new, and taking action. So your action can be just go to the vault, y'all. Get in the vault. Get in there. Yeah, bust that thing open and use it. Kim, we've really enjoyed having you. Do you have a final thought for everybody? Just one quick thing you would say to everybody who's new in business or even been in business for a while?
Sounds repetitive, but just start taking actions. Just messy action. Just keep moving forward one step at a time, and you will get there.
Messy action. I love that. The messier, the better. And to not feel like you're failing when it's messy. Because the truth is, it's never going to be perfect. And if you wait for it to be perfect, you're going to wait forever. You're going to wait till you're off this planet. So the Bold Badass Business Show, we're leaving you with a kind of somber thought, but get going. Just take messy action. And next week, we will see you again
Massive
at
imperfect action.
Eastern. Yes, we'll be here at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Kim, thank you so much for coming on and all you brought to the show. And I had fun removing you twice. That was fun.
But, see, messy internet action. Right? Stuff happens, folks. You just got to roll with the punches.
You just showed right back up when we added you back in. We just want to be real, you all. And be real in your life, be real in your business, and realize that no matter how you feel, you are a badass. I'll see you next week.